Welcome to the Gold Standard, brought to you by the 440 Sports Network and Lower Broad Hockey. Also, Sinkers, Beverages, and Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. That is Emma Lingan. I am Braden Gall. And Kevin's in the comments, just made a fresh pot of coffee. He's ready for this. What's going on, Emma? How are you?
A little tired, a little sleepy. I was at the game last night. Yep, we've all got our coffee going this morning. So yeah, this
Cheers.
is not my first cup either.
No, I'm on number 3, but I've already gotten 2 kids to school, made like 5 meals, worked out. Like, I'm ready to go. All right, lots of stuff to do today on the show. So, not a great start to the season, but it's not time to panic by any stretch of the imagination. That would be silly and overreacting. But there are some things that are super concerning that need to be worked out. Why do they need to be worked out? Why are they happening? I think we've got some good answers for you guys. So I had a chance to chat with Brady Shea after morning skate yesterday before the game on Tuesday, the 7-goal debacle against Seattle on Tuesday night. 14 goals allowed now in the 0-3 start. And I sort of wanted to know, a lot of you have been asking, like, what is it about the system and the scheme that Brunette deploys that makes it difficult for folks to sort of adapt quickly? It doesn't mean they don't adapt. It just takes some time. And I heard C. Mason and Hal maybe it was a Saturday against Detroit talking about one of the things that players say about the system is that you have to forget everything you've learned about hockey to kind of relearn some stuff. So I talked to Hal about that at morning skate. I talked to Brady Shea about that. We're going to do that later on in the show to sort of try to explain some stuff. I'm not all the way there yet, Emma, but I've learned a little bit about what Brunette wants to do from an X's and O's standpoint and sort of why that takes some time. So we'll do that a little bit later on. Also had a chance to ask Andrew Brunette yesterday before the game, what is the right amount of time to learn about his team? He gave us an answer on that. So we'll discuss why it takes some time and then sort of how much time that they should need. And then we'll begin with how bad the numbers are. So the numbers are bad. We, of course, are brought to you by Sinkers Beverages. Almost 40 years of serving the East Nashville community. Bluegrass Beverages is their sister store in Hendersonville. They are 2 great, amazing liquor stores in the city. 3-time liquor store of the year, Sinkers Beverages. And of course, you can search Uber Eats in case your favorite hockey team has given up 6 or 7 goals and you need a cocktail and it's the third period and you don't want to drive anywhere, nor should you. Search Uber Eats, have them deliver. Search Sinkers Beverages, have them deliver the booze directly to your house. This is where you say, Emma, they drive so you can drink. Ready?
They drive so you can drink. Thank you very much.
Addy Award's coming. Very good job. No, Sinkers Beverages, of course, everybody. And I've got a question for you about Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, which is also 3-time best of Nashville Texas barbecue in the city of Nashville. One location up there on Briley, Madison and Inglewood, sort of right there. Very easy to get to from anywhere in Nashville. If you're in the interstate system, you can get it's right up there, 65 and Briley. Basically, it's very, very close to everything downtown. I got a question for you later on about that. Okay, so I guess I don't really know what the first question is here, other than woof. 14 goals.
Good question.
Woof? Question mark. We're all dog people on the show. 14 goals allowed. Clearly, a lot of players still learning what they are. My first question I guess I'll start with this because I think everybody knows what happened in the 3 games. You guys don't need to rehash any of that. And if you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up, share it, Twitter, Facebook, share it. More of you guys will come in here and we'll have a better conversation. But are you on board with all of the tweaking? Do you think it's too early for him to do a lot of that stuff? Is that, like, if something's not working, you have to change it, especially when the numbers are staggering the way they were around Tommy Novak's lack of production as a second-line center between 81 and 91. Lots more changes. Tomasino on the bench, game 3, didn't work. Defense wasn't better. Gave up more odd man rushes and high danger chances than they had in either of the first 2 games. Yes, the offense was better. Where are you at on all the trying new shit?
As a concept, I don't disagree with it, but I think the frequency and the timing with which it's happening is a little too much. And I'm actually very grateful that, we'll see if anything comes of it, but Andrew Brunette actually said that he kind of acknowledged it in his post-game press conference last night and said, yeah, I've been changing things around and maybe it's been too much change. And I'm like, oh yeah, maybe might want to think about that for a little bit. So Yeah, as a concept, I agree. Like if something's not working, you have to change it. I think changing things though as frequently as he has been within individual games has been more detrimental than helpful, because I especially saw it in the Kraken game where it was these guys all looked like they've never played hockey together before. Like it was just every single touch of the puck was fumbled. Like it was not crisp, it wasn't clean. They just it was very discombobulated, and
Yep.
it seemed a little like they were just kind of chasing their tails a little bit.
Michael Gallagher, of course, dealing with something with the family, so unable to be here with us this morning. But the quote from Michael Gallagher was, "I hate the line jumbling after one game. This team needs time to build chemistry, especially when they're playing a system like Brunette's. Brunette has been his own worst enemy so far." So it sounds like he agrees. I sort of think that there's a balance. There's also a timing of the year. Like, I think if you are 6 points out of a playoff spot with 12 games to go, like you're a little bit more desperate. You need to sort of figure things out. Maybe you move quicker. You're in a playoff series. You're down 2-1. Player X isn't working against player Y on the other team. You're a little bit more desperate. You might need to make some quicker changes, maybe more rapid fire changes. I think when you are trying to reestablish your system with the players that learned it last year and some very veteran pieces that have a lot of look, people don't love change just in general. I don't know about you, Emma. I'm very bad. My wife likes to move furniture around the house randomly when I'm not around, and I come home and I'm just like, I can't do it. People don't like change. Stamkos and Marchessault and Shea are old. They've played a lot of hockey. They've done things a certain way for a long time. It's going to take time for them to relearn or learn for the first time what Andrew Brunette wants them to do. In that situation, that's where I feel like, okay, if it's extreme, like Tommy Novak, 3% of goals expected, yikes, which is what the number was in the first game before he got pulled off after about 8 minutes. That's okay. I'm okay. All right, look, one change that's really clearly not working, make that change. But to just completely kind of wholesale change things all across the board seems not desperate, not panicky. That's not the right term. It just seems a little too soon for that when you're trying to establish something.
I mean, to me, I think it does seem panicky, and I think that, I'm not saying that that's how Brunette feels, but that's how it comes across is, "Oh shit, it's not working. We got to change it." And that is now translating in the way that they're playing on the ice. Like everything looked very panicked in the game against Seattle. It was like, "Oh shit, we're not performing. We better perform or he's going to switch us around again." And it's like, again, not saying that's exactly what they're thinking, but it's a little bit like, it's hard because I think it's a great point that you make about the more veteran guys. It's almost like if they were like new young players, it might be easier.
I agree.
And especially a guy like Stamkos, who's played, the same team for his entire career. But even these other guys, they've been with, in certain systems for long periods of time, and it does take. It's really hard to unlearn something or to unteach yourself something when you've been doing it every day of your life for however many years. So,
Yep.
I think it's just you're definitely seeing the effects of that, which is why I agree it's too early to panic and say, "Oh no, this, we've made a horrible mistake by signing these guys." No, it's just going to take time. I keep going back to last year. It took the rest of this team more than half a season to figure it out. And that's why I said, I mean, we've all said, Barry Trotz has even said, temper your expectations for this first year, because they all need just give them a minute. They need they need to get up to speed. Now I agree that the whole panicky line change thing, I think it needs to stop, or not stop, but it needs to tone down a little bit, because how are you going to get chemistry if you don't leave guys together for more than one shift at a time?
No, I agree. Steven says massive overreaction. Kevin says he didn't even give Novak a game on the second line, maybe a period. So here's, again, Adam said this on the Gold Standard Extra on Monday, kind of gave us some metrics on this, which is, I think with, and I don't have the number exactly in front of me, the minutes in front of me, maybe I could find it. Okay, here, let me see. All right, so 7 minutes and 36 seconds. This is the first game. I think it's actually might be the second game too, but I don't know how many times he went out there. I don't think he played much on this in the second game with Stamkos and Marcia show. But Tommy Novak, 7 minutes 36 seconds, 3.1% goals expected out of 100. Out of 100, that's bad. That's bad. It's bad. That's a nuanced take. Colton Sissons with 8 minutes and 11 seconds in the same role, 49.4%. Goals below of expected, which again is not good either. So
it's better than 3.
So like to me, the Novak decision is one that's justified because it was so bad to start. It doesn't mean you shouldn't go back to it and shouldn't try it again, but it was so bad to start that I'm okay making an adjustment quickly. I mean, the coach's job, and he said this to us Thursday morning before the first game of the season. And this is what I actually asked him yesterday morning, which is, he says it takes games to learn about your team. And once you learn about your team, you take that information in and you make adjustments and you pivot. And there's going to be that, which was Novak. I don't think it needs to be like 3 out of 4 lines. And it doesn't have to. Tomasino had, I thought, a pretty good first 2 games. Not great, but pretty good. And I think you want to build that momentum and kind of consistency. And then how many minutes did Parsonen play last night? Like 6, 7?
Yeah.
So there's too much, and then there's the right amount, and it feels like there was a little too much. And if Andrew Brunette's already said that, I don't know if we have to belabor the point too much. So
yeah, I was okay with the one change in game 1, switching Novak and Sissons, because it was clear, hey, this isn't working. Brunette said we need to spark something. We just need to try something here. Make that one change. Look what happens. They score 2 more goals out of it. I think that is an appropriate reaction to the situation and an appropriate amount of change. But what you're starting to see, we saw it a little bit against Detroit, but we saw it a whole lot against Seattle. Like I said, it looked like these guys never played together before because they hadn't. It was just like every shift there was a new line out there. And I agree about Tomasino. I don't think he looked amazing in his first 2 games. I don't think he wasn't a liability by any means, but I think that I wasn't upset about the decision to bench him, only not because I think that, oh, he should be punished or whatever. I think it was more about, again, the same concept. It's not working. Let's try something just to shake it up. And I would have been okay if that was the only change. But then I think, he goes in, Parsonen comes in, tough start because he was on the ice for the first 2 goals really quickly for Seattle. I mean, that whole line was Sissons and McCarron too. Then that same line kind of started the mini comeback effort. And, it was good for Parsonen. He got that really nice assist on McCarron's goal in the first period. But then it was, of course, that same line on the ice for, I think, total 4 out of Seattle's 7 goals, if I remember correctly. So I think and then you saw what, like Parsonen maybe had 2 shifts in the second period, 1 in the third, maybe 2. Like it was just, it wasn't, that seemed to me like an overreaction. And it's also kind of insulting if you think about it to Tomasino, because it's like, hey, we're going to bench you. And the guy that we're replacing you with isn't even going to play. So
I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
So a lot of you all in the comments here. Ben Olsen, shout out to all you guys, by the way. Good to see you, Ben. 3 games is way too soon for the end of the world talk. I don't like how we started, but come on, people. I actually don't think that's what's happening. Like, I don't think you're saying that. I'm certainly not saying that. There's like 2 people on the Lower Broad Hockey chat room that are like, oh, the world's ending. But like, otherwise, I think everybody's sort of like, all right, take a deep breath. This isn't a good start, but we kind of, and this goes to your point and to George's point here. Realistically, what did you expect for a group that is drastically different to last year's team? I think that is ultimately what we're talking about. Dark says it takes games to develop chemistry as well. Line blending kind of defeats that. Yes, I agree. And I think Andrew has already acknowledged that to some degree after the game. So
we're all saying that because we're rational beings. And it sounds like Ben has maybe been on the Twitter hellscape, which is not exactly known for its plethora of rational beings.
It's a Nazi porn bar. Stop taking your cues from the Twitter. And I'm not saying Ben's doing that, by the way. I'm just like, it's It's a sewer for a reason. So, yeah, Ben says on Twitter there's a meltdown and it's nauseating. You can put the phone down if you guys want to. Open up YouTube, open up the podcast app, and just put the phone down and don't read anything and just listen to us. That's what I would say. I do have a couple of positive things to get to, because I do think that is ultimately, I think that is my main takeaway on offense, which is you have Stamkos, you have Marchessault as veteran players that have done things a certain way their entire lives. They are now featured in premium positions in the top 6. They don't have a true center yet. They're not sure who it's going to be. And they are all trying to figure it out. And it's going to take time because the system is predicated on timing. It is predicated on speed and pace. And you can see when you could see a guy break out of the zone and make a run, for lack of a better term. And then the pass is late because Brady Shea's not played in the system before. Like, it's the tiniest little things that can throw off the flow. And it just takes time. I'm not panicked at all. In fact, they had 11 high danger chances on offense in the first 2 games. That's not good. They had 14 on Tuesday night against Seattle. That's better. And you're starting to see the run of play where they look like they know what they're doing get a little bit longer and a little bit more consistent. And that's what you want. That's ultimately what you want.
And another thing to remember is, like most things in life, like, this progress is not going to be linear. It's not going to be direct. There is going to be a little bit of up and down as they figure this out. That's why you're seeing, okay, against Seattle, offense looked better, defense looked worse. Next game could be the opposite. It's going to take time. It took time last year. And I thought that Michael McCarron actually had a really good point post game after Seattle. We talked to him and he said, when we kind of asked him, like, what's leading to all these odd man rushes and why are, what's happening here? Where's the breakdown here? And he said, he actually brought up, well, remember last year we had a rough start, and he said the thing that we're all kind of seeing and thinking, but he said the thing is like, okay, last year this happened because we were unfamiliar with the system. We didn't trust it. Now we're acting like we don't trust the system and we don't want to commit to it again. And I think that a big part of that is when, as you said, Braden, some of the big key pieces on your top 6 don't trust the system, and not they don't trust it as in they're like mindfully resisting it, but it's new. And so I'm sure that has an impact on the rest of the guys on the ice, and it kind of creates this, oh shit, like, what do we do? Because it's like, okay, not everyone is comfortable with this. So even though, yes, 2/3 of the team should be comfortable with it, it makes a big difference when there's 1 or 2 guys out there that isn't. So it's just, it'll take time. I'm not worried, but
I'm not either. No more to explore. No one should be mad during this experimental phase. We have other more meaningful things to be mad at. I can't imagine what you're referring to 3 weeks from now. Benjamin Olson says, oh yeah, no dig at any of you wonderful people at all. Love you guys. Thank you, Benjamin. I do appreciate that. Steven says, Preds also historically bad in October. I agree. And here's the thing that hit me. So, okay, the defense is a problem, and it's been a problem. And I think if I hadn't already thought that the defense was going to be the most concerning piece, I would maybe be able to sort of say, no, this is just experimental stuff. I'm a little bit more concerned about the defense. And we'll hear from Shea in just a minute. But after 2 games, 23 high danger chances allowed, 11 created. They were 13 high danger chances allowed last night, 14 created. So a better balance there. But still, that's 36 high danger chances allowed in 3 games, only 25 created. The odd man rushes last night, 7-3. They were leading the NHL at coming into the game. They are now leading the NHL following the game. 22 odd man rushes allowed at 5-on-5. That's 9.7 per 60 minutes. That is dead last in the NHL. So I think I had a preconceived concern about the defense to some degree, and that is where this part of it's a little bit more concerning. I'm not really truly concerned about Saros, and I'm not really concerned about the offense. The defense is sort of, with those numbers, that's sort of where I'm like, all right, I kind of already felt this way, so it is confirmation bias to some degree. But if you're worried about something with a sports team, and then they go out and they are the worst at it in the entire world, it's worth having a conversation about.
Yes, I will, but I will say that I think all these things, they're not all independent from one another. You can't look at the defense and the offense and the goaltending. You can't look at each of those things in a vacuum. I think that part of it, and Andrew Brunette had a good comment about this last night after the Seattle game, and he said it's like we're trying to play fire wagon hockey, which is a reference to Braden. You might remember, I was not alive, but sorry, I had to. The style of hockey in the 80s that was essentially defense
Jeez.
optional.
I
Essentially
am
defense optional.
I hang on a second. I grew up watching 90s hockey. Thank you very much. And but again, no less defensive focused. It was the Scott Stevens Devils teams that were so dominant in the mid to late 90s that basically changed the rules because of the trap and all the slow the game down and 2-1 hockey. And so while your point is valid, your facts are slightly incorrect.
Were you not alive in the 1980s?
Technically, yes.
Hey, end of discussion. So anyway,
I wasn't studying the Edmonton Oilers defensive scheme in 1987.
I didn't say you were, but you were at least on the planet, which I was not. But anyway, I think the point is, I'm glad he brought that up, because I was watching this and I'm like, is it defense optional tonight? What are we doing? I felt, Saros wasn't being given much of a prayer to stop any of these shots because they were just hanging him out to dry. So it was like, okay, Brunette acknowledged that. And that's why I think that, like I said, you can't look at these things in a vacuum, because his system is so offense first that when guys are still learning it and still getting accustomed to it, it's, you're focusing on the one thing. It's like, okay, get the puck, create offense, create chances. And that was something that both Brunette and Brady Shea said last night, which is like, we're trying to create chances that aren't there. And we're trying to make something out of nothing. And that leads to careless, sloppy mistakes. And so when you're trying to just go offense, 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 and completely forget about the defense, you see the result. Yep. That's how you give up 7 goals and 8,000 odd man rushes. So I think that that's why, again, it just, the pendulum has swung too far to one side. And I think you just got to wait for it to come back to equilibrium. Yep. And it's just not there yet.
And we'll deal with some of that scheme stuff on defense when we talk to when I play the Brady Shea clip from yesterday before the game, and again talking to Hal, sort of trying to learn what's the differences in scheme, how does it affect the defense and the offense and the goaltending. I'm still doing a lot of digging on that. I'm trying to ask around people inside and outside the organization about that. I'll probably have something coming for you guys as a story, but I just want to understand it more at this point. And I think I got a little bit of insight, so I'm starting the process. Quick observation too. There was a couple of odd man rushes for the Predators. There was certainly one where it's Steven Stamkos going down the side, and I'm wondering what's going through his head as he looks over and doesn't see Nikita Kucherov, but he sees Cole Smith. And I'm not trying to knock Cole Smith here, but there were 2 separate times where they're going. One of them was a true 2-on-1, and Cole Smith ends up taking the shot, and then there's another one later where somebody caught up to Cole Smith and he lost the puck. And again, it's not supposed to be an anti-Cole Smith take. It's just Steven Stamkos has to be looking at that on film going like, where am I? what have I done? I had Kucherov with 120 points and 80 assists giving me the puck in perfect situations. And there's a fourth line winger over there, which brings me to the question. Because this is, as soon as we saw the line changes and I saw Stamkos at center on the second line, I thought, why is 77 not next to him? His hands, the skill, the play he made, Evangelista made back to Jankowski, and the pass that Jankowski made across the ice to Novak was perfect. It was brilliant. And I want to see Luke Evangelista play on the wing with Stamkos at center, because I still think since the day they signed him that is the most talented and skilled group of players that could play at that line. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm totally fine with that. But we're trying everything else.
I'm going to say, hell, they've tried every other combination. So why not? I think, though, that I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree. I'd like to see it as long as we are just trying everything. But I think that against Seattle, for sure. I mean, it really, I don't think anyone could disagree that the best line in that game for the Predators was the Jankowski, Novak, Evangelista line. So it's like, why would you break that line up when they're the only ones doing anything for you?
He just handles the
again,
puck like a veteran. He knows what he's doing with the puck at all times.
To that point, though, I think why was that line the best and most effective during that game? Because they're the only line that has played together a lot. Like, they played together last year. They have the chemistry that you're supposedly looking for. Yeah. And it's like, okay, this is how you build chemistry, is you give guys more than a shift at a time with each other. So again, that's not to reopen that box. But
as many of you are defending Cole Smith in the comments, I do appreciate that. It is not an anti-Cole Smith take. It is, he belongs on this team. He has a role on this team. He's an important piece of the team. He just is not the guy you want on a 2-on-1 break with Steven Stamkos. You want a guy with brilliant hands to fake a shot and deliver the puck in a scoring position for your Hall of Famer. And the guy who does that, that's not like a Philip Forsberg or Roman Josi or whatever, is Luke Evangelista. That's the guy who does that. Here's the other thing, and I might need some help from the comment section on this one. I want to loosen the mood up a little bit. Sinkers Beverages, by the way. Everybody take a shot. I know it's early. I know it's early on a Wednesday. Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, 2 great sponsors. Go support them. Jonathan Marchessault's fight was one of the most important moments of the game. I said this in our article last week where we kind of did a roundtable, and I said, who's the player you're most looking forward to covering? And on the ice, 81 to me is a guy who plays with emotion. He's going to quote. His quotes are going to be emotional. I appreciate that style of play from him. He's not a robot. I like it. And I think this team kind of needs it. They need somebody, as we call it, a shit stir, a fecal agitator. I need more terms for this. That's what I need from you, the commenters. I need more combinations of euphemisms for excrement and stirring shit up. I need more like crap creator. I need something that's a mixer. I need poop mixer. I need something from you guys. Give us some stuff. Comments. Fecal agitator is the best one, courtesy of Terry Crisp. Shit stirrer is the more common term for a player who just goes out there, gets in a fight, takes a penalty, and inspires the team to score a couple of goals. We need some more of those. So in the comments, give me some names. Okay. What do you want to call Marcia?
A word
in a complimentary way.
A word that I use to describe him a lot, and I think I don't really even do it intentionally. It's just like the first word that comes to mind for me is spicy. Like, he plays with a lot of spice. And so
I agree.
I think that I agree. There was something that we needed. Like, that was the most important part of the game, because it was just like, guys, we need something. We need to fire these people up. Oh God. I'm looking at the comments now.
Crap KitchenAid. Okay, all right. You went a little. You pushed it there, Ben, with the K. This was not bad. Predvocateur. Creative doesn't roll off the tongue, but creative.
Yeah.
Keep going, Emma. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I mean, I just think that he plays with a lot of spice, a lot of heat.
Dookie flinger. I like that, Kevin. Marshy mischief. That's not bad. I really am looking for like as many different ways to say shit as possible is really what I'm looking for. And then put it with another word for stir or mix or agitate or create or whatever. So let's just see how many you guys can come up with. Dookie flinger. Well, it appeals to the inner 12-year-old in me. I'm not sure I'm going to be using it again, but maybe off the air. All right. So, look, I just wanted to say, I thought Marchessault has been noticeable. Stamkos, not quite yet. And then we'll hear from Brady Shea. So before we get to Brunette and sort of his explanation on how much time this actually is going to take and sort of what he's looking for, this was before the game on Tuesday. I do want So I asked him the question, and in the middle of the question, I'm already freaking pissed off at myself because I have a pretty strong no coach policy as it pertains to talking to coaches. He's not my coach. I don't play for him. He's not teaching me anything. He doesn't coach my kids. He's not my coach. He's there doing his job. I'm there doing my job. We are on equal footing, despite the power imbalance of a press conference for a head coach in any professional sport. I said coach in the question, and Steve Lehman's sitting behind me. You're sitting in front of me, and I am in this. I have not finished asking my question of him, and I am already pissed off at myself for doing it. So
I wish
so angry.
I wish there was a camera. I mean, there's a camera on Brunette. I wish there was a camera facing us because I am not one who hides her facial expressions well. And as soon as you said coach, I was like, oh, Braden, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's not your coach. You don't call him coach.
You got to take the L, man. Look, we all make mistakes. I just gave up an odd man rush and a high danger chance, and just like all the Predators, and so I got to take the L, man. When we like to have fun, and it's serious, and it's a game, and all this other stuff, and it's unserious and serious all at the same time. But I was very pissed off. And Lehman, I looked at Lehman, I was like, "Damn it!" And he goes, "Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything."
I was like, I was going to say something.
He already
so I'm
knew.
glad you called yourself out.
Oh no, I had to do it right away. Like I think there's part of the here. You're going to watch the clip. Part of the reason like his face moves in the frame, I think, is because I'm so upset with myself. But again,
shame.
Because I host the Five Bomb Show for ESPN, and when I do that, we get into a lot of discussions about, oh, you would never call Nick Saban Nick, and I'm like, yes, I would. His name is Nick.
That's his name.
Every time I've ever spoken to Andrew Brunette, I say Andrew, and here's what I think happened to him. I was so focused on not saying Bruno
that you said something worse.
No, it's not. It's not worse. It's not worse. Using the nicknames. Now, here's the one person I might change my policy for is Jonathan Marchessault. There needs to be a shorter way to say his name. And it's just a tricky name to say in general.
Well, but you wouldn't address him by his full name.
No, I would say Jonathan is what I would say. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just mean in general, whether talking on radio, podcasts, whatever, or talking to somebody, I would never use a nickname unless I had a very personal relationship with that person off the ice, away from work. If I had a very close relationship with somebody and I was friends with somebody, like we hung out socially and off the record or whatever, then maybe. But otherwise, I am. And there's a handful of folks that do it. It's not that big a deal, but I would never do it. And so I was so focused on being like, don't say Bruno. And then like I said coach. So I asked him basically, you said you need games to learn about your team, which is what we're doing right now. We're learning about the team. Clearly a lot to learn. He's changing the lineups, a lot to learn. But he basically sort of gave, and I wasn't looking for him to say like 5 games or 2 games or 8 shifts. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to know like what is his philosophy on acquiring that data and then deploying it back into his roster. What does that mean? And this was his answer.
What we have is going to take a little time, and it's going to take a little time to get the chemistry together. It's hard to do it in one day, it's hard to do it in one game, and we're trying to move things around, and it's going to take some time. It's not going to be perfect here early in the season. I just hope that it improves and we get a better feel of each other, of chemistry between lines and players and power play, all those kind of things. I wish I had a time frame. You don't. You just like to see progress. You like to see yourself get a little bit better each day. Sorry, I got one.
So there you go. Progress is what he's looking for. And I think that's the right answer. I think on offense, we have seen them slowly get better despite all the changes. I think they've gotten better on offense slowly, and it's going to take a little bit more time. Where are you at on the defense, offense, the progress? Are you seeing what certainly last night, the goaltending, he was better. Saros was better against Detroit. Where are you at on the progress from game 1 to game 2 to game 3?
Well, I think it goes back to what I said before, which is that it's not going to be straight and linear. It's not going to go straight up. I mean, game 1 and game 2, well, we'll start with game 1. I think game 1 started bad and then got better as the game went on. I think game 2 was the same to a degree. And I think that game 2, you saw a little bit more of the offense trying to kind of get too cute and trying to make the perfect play instead. I'm fighting every urge. As much as you don't want to be the guy who says coach, I don't want to be the guy who's watching the game like just shoot it. But I found myself being that guy. And I think that when you get to the third game, you saw a little bit more offense, but again, I mean, I've already said this, it was like more offense at the expense of the defense, and you can't have that. That's not good either. So you need to like find that balance. And so I think they're still working out finding that balance. And you talk about progress, you have to also define in this situation, what is progress? What does progress look like? And has Brunette seen enough progress in the areas that he wants to without seeing too much regression in the other direction in the other areas? And I think that's kind of the bigger question. And I think that, game 4 against Edmonton is going to be a really big test of that. And okay,
schedule not easy.
I need to say something here. First of all, the Oilers have now won a game. They had
nice.
not last night. They won in overtime over the Flyers last night. So, but at the time that I tweeted this, they had not yet won a game. And so I said, I think any of you watching the show or listening to the show should know by now that I speak fluent sarcasm, and it's actually quite difficult for me. It's actually quite difficult for me to like say anything seriously.
I that's exactly what I wanted to tweet about Cole Smith and Steven Stamkos on Twitter last night, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it. It was a sign of maturity.
I'm proud of you. That's great.
Because to your point, I can't say it without being like, man, I wonder what's going through Stamkos' head when he's on a 2-on-1 with Cole Smith instead of Nikita Kucherov, and there's only going to read as like me being an asshole. There's no way you can read that otherwise.
Well, I self-identify as an asshole, so I'm just gonna say, I think last night I tweeted like, cheer up, guys. The winless Edmonton Oilers are coming to town. Like, what could possibly go wrong? And everyone immediately jumped in and started responding with exactly what could go wrong. And I'm like, guys.
It was a rhetorical question.
This was not a serious question.
Oh, this is Twitter again, dude. This is Twitter's fault.
Because again, I was like, yeah, like the Oilers, they never play well at Bridgestone, especially that Draisaitl guy. He sucks. So like, yeah,
overpaid.
and yeah, and people are like, well, yeah, Draisaitl's gonna go off, and they're gonna, shut the Preds out. And I'm like, okay, everyone.
He will have 2 goals and 4 assists on Thursday night. for
sure. But like, when I asked what could go wrong, that was not a question that required an answer.
I hear you. I hear you. All right. We're going to hear from Brady Shea and then talk a little bit about the system itself, maybe what I've learned about that. Not a lot, but I'm starting to learn a little bit more about it. And I want to try to explain that to you guys, especially I think it explains some of the defensive breakdowns. And then I signed, here's the other thing. I wanted to get a trial of the Bally Sports app to see what y'all go through watching this thing. I got some thoughts, so we'll wrap up on that. Here's the thing, though. Sinkers Beverages are a great sponsor, but also Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, 3-time best barbecue in Nashville. This guy has been smoking meats in Texas for like 35 years, and he's an expert on it. He does brisket better than anybody in the city of Nashville because he is a Texan who cooked meat in Texas, learning how the Texans do it, and is a Nashvilleian now for over a decade. He's got a shop, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, up there. Right off Briley in the Madison, sort of Inglewood, East Nashville area. It's up there. It's super accessible from downtown and kind of anywhere around the city. Here's my question for you. I want you to rank barbecue meats for me because brisket is what he does well. I'm a ribs person. I want ribs. That's what I want. I also think catfish is one of the most underrated. Fried catfish is one of the most underrated barbecue meats. But you got turkey, you got chicken, you got wings, you got pork, pulled pork, you got ribs, you got brisket. Where are you going? Give me your top 3 barbecue orders.
Well, first I'm gonna say something
as a North Carolina barbecue expert.
Well, I don't know about expert, but that is where I learned about the finer points of barbecue. So for that reason, I think I got to go pulled pork as number 1. When it's prepared correctly.
That's like some 1990s hockey style right there.
That's some fire wagon barbecue takes right there.
Fire wagon barbecue.
I like pulled pork. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have never had fried catfish before.
What?
I know. I mean, I'm sorry, but they're bottom feeders. Why would I like? I've also never really been presented with the opportunity to eat fried catfish.
Okay, if you've lived in North Carolina, Tennessee, and you've never had the opportunity to eat catfish, you're not looking hard enough at the menu. Number 2.
Well,
you're upset. Hang on.
If pulled pork is on the menu, then I'm going with pork.
So look, I am not going to compare the intelligence of a catfish to the intelligence of a pig. Pigs are one of the smartest creatures on the planet. But if you are going to compare the lifestyle of a catfish to the lifestyle of a pig and say the bottom feeder thing is what turns you off about the catfish, I'm not sure you can then turn around and be like, I love the pig.
I don't think the bottom feeder thing is a sign that that wasn't a comment on its intelligence. It was just like a comment on just hygiene. I don't know. Like,
But that's
just
what I'm saying. A pig that I was making the point, like pigs are super intelligent. You can't compare the two. That was sort of just an extra point that I made.
okay.
The two lifestyles of a pig and a catfish, pretty close, I feel like. The
Okay.
pig literally rolls in shit the entire time.
Yeah.
The catfish is on the bottom of the creek. I get all of that, but to me, they're kind of close. They're kind of
Okay.
the same.
Fine.
Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Hey,
and stop mentioning other barbecue joints in the comments, you folks. Shotgun, Willie's, barbecue, Madison, best brisket in town. 3-time best barbecue in Nashville. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I go pulled pork. I go I really like chicken, like barbecued chicken, because
chicken's good.
Yeah, I think like if it's cooked well, and then I'll probably go ribs. Ribs is number 3. I like brisket too. I just, I tend to be more of a white meat girl.
Oh, it's a race thing. Okay.
Yeah.
More to explore. More to explore says ribs, brisket, pulled pork, the holy trifecta. That is, in fact, the holy trifecta. I would go ribs, brisket, 1, 2, and then I'd probably go smoked wings. I just love chicken wings. To your point about chicken, give me smoked wings. Catfish doesn't really count. It's not really barbecue. It's fried catfish. You can just get it at barbecue joints, generally speaking. So it's not really, yeah. See, Dark says that. In what world is fried catfish barbecue? It is not barbecue. I agree with you. It is just generally served at those joints. But ribs are number 1 for me. St. Louis style, beef, pork, dry rub, you name it. Ribs are number 1. Brisket's number 2. And actually, Steven says that turkey underrated. Turkey is underrated.
I like
meat.
turkey as well. Smoked turkey is really good. I also like, again, coming from North Carolina, I can't say I was raised because I was not raised there, but like in my barbecue journey started with Lexington barbecue, and so that's why I think pulled pork, like pork, is always going to be number 1 for me, just because that's kind of a nostalgia thing, and like that's what got me into barbecue. So,
well, are you a Memphis barbecue person, like the whole hog style?
I mean,
whole hog is fun. It's interesting.
It's fun. Yeah, it's a nice gimmick.
By the way, More to Explore says smoked turkey is bomb. Highly suggest for Thanksgiving. I don't know if this is open yet or not, but here's what you need to remember about Shotgun Willie's barbecue. They do an entire Thanksgiving meal for you for any number of people. So I am now in charge of the Thanksgiving meals for my family, my kids, because my parents are now vegetarian for some reason, and they're getting older and they want to be healthier. I got it. And then my in-laws have passed away, and so it's sort of fallen on my wife and I now to sort of take over for the cooking. And Shotgun Willie's barbecue does the entire thing. They will do, like, he goes, how many people you got and what do you want? And they got the sides, they got the turkey, they got the whatever other meat you want. They'll do the entire thing. They cater basically your Thanksgiving. They take that, you come by and you pick it up on like Tuesday afternoon, and then you throw it into the oven, you reheat it on Thursday morning, and you're ready to go. You come pick it up on Wednesday. I don't know if the website, you can check it out. It's sgwbbq.com. It's Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. You can look it up on the internet. And you can, when it's open, I'm telling you, I'm doing it this year. It was brilliant last year. He will feed your family on Thanksgiving and take all of the stress and all of the work out of your life. It is fantastic, especially for folks that now have to like learn how to do all this stuff for the first time. So did you actually do that? More to Explore? You did it with Shotgun Willie's? He says he did it last year. Best decision. Food was amazing, and we could rest on Thanksgiving. Oh, that sounds great, because the meat sweats kick in around that 2:30 kickoff of the NFL game, and you're going to need to relax a little bit. So Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, Sinkers Beverages for all your beverage needs for Thanksgiving as well. Make sure you check them out. All right, so how about we do the Bally Sports thing real fast? Because this is not long for me. First of all, you can only watch it in your own zip code. What? Like, what? So if I'm at my parents' house or I'm at a friend's house or I'm out of town, I can't watch the app within like I have to be in like this 1 mile area to watch. That's absurd to me.
Yeah, the zip code thing is weird. I would say like region, I understand, because like, again, if I am, visiting my friends in DC then theoretically, if the Preds are playing, I can use my like ESPN Plus to watch the Preds there because I'm out of the region where it would be a regional broadcast. But zip code is crazy. Like if I go one county over and I can't watch it, like that's a little nuts.
Well, so the reason I'm going to try it is because I have YouTube TV, and so I don't have access to any other way to watch the games now. And so I'm like, well, I got to watch the games, you know, or like there's some illegal ways to do it. I'm just not on board with that just yet. And frankly, I wanted to learn what all of you guys have been going through. If you've paid for this app, whatever it is, $19.99 a month for this, $26, I guess, if you want the Hawks and the Grizzlies. I do love the Grizzlies. I don't give a shit about the Atlanta Hawks. You cannot skip the ads. While you're like, the whole point of having streaming services, a DVR of any kind, is to start the game about 45 minutes late and to skip all the ads and watch the end of the game in real time. I do it for everything. I do it for baseball, go Mets. I do it for football. I do it for everything. You start the game about 45 minutes late. You can skip all the commercials and get to the end of the game in real time. That's the point of a DVR. Damn it. Why can't you skip the ads in the app? That's ridiculous. Here's the other thing that's very small, and now we're very bougie and spoiled about this, because YouTube TV allows you to do this, where you can like resume watching from any given point in any given game you're watching, and you can bounce around. The fact that you only have two options to either start the game from the beginning or start the game live is also very dumb. Like I was watching, I had gotten through the first period, and then I was like, oh, I got to go help put my kid in bed. So I went upstairs and tucked in my little one, came back down. I went to restart where I was, and they're like, no, you got to start from the beginning. And then I had to like fast forward all the way to the point I was in, which is because then you can't skip the ad. So I'm like back watching the first period again. It was so stupid. The only thing I liked about it, was the rewatch like cut in the next morning is already produced without commercials. I like that part. That takes all the commercials out and just like puts all the gameplay on there for you. I do like that part. But other than that, woof. Shocking, they deliver a subpar product.
Get what you pay for.
That's all. Not in this case. You're paying 3 times as much as Amazon. And when Amazon buys the NHL...
Well, I'm saying that Bally obviously doesn't have money to invest in a quality production, which is why it is subpar.
Yep,
so
I agree with that. All right, Brady Shea on the scheme. He's one of the new faces in the scheme, and he's playing a system that he's never played before. I had about 90 seconds here. Got a couple of questions with him after practice yesterday before the game. He did not have a particularly great game last night either, and he's sort of the one it feels like has the most talent and is being asked to learn the most on defense, which is why I wanted to talk to him. And here's how he explains sort of Brunette's system, the learning curve, the progress, what's the differences in his system versus the other systems he's played in the past. Here was Brady Shea after practice yesterday morning.
He's kind of tried to be a sponge the whole time, and he's trying to learn, and through video and through play, I feel more and more comfortable every day. I think the games, first 2 preseason games I felt a little lost, and then once these games started, I feel more and more comfortable. So it definitely takes a little bit of time, but I'm definitely feeling more confident, more comfortable every day.
Is there a way to describe to the average hockey fan who doesn't understand like the X's and O's of a 1-3-1 or like can you kind of describe the differences between Brunette and what you've played your whole life?
Yeah, so well, in Carolina we were man on man, so it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, basically you're chasing your guy around the D zone, you got your guy the whole time. Here there's a little more reads and more staying at the net, so just a little adjustment on making those in the D zone. Offensively, I think Bruno loves playing offense and loves making plays, so that's just kind of playing hockey down there. So a few defensive zone reads that I'm trying to get used to, and I think I've done a better job throughout camp in the first 2 games.
Is that tied to sort of his ability and his desire for y'all to push out of the zone as fast as possible? Yeah. Maybe a little different than sort of other schemes?
For sure, yeah. I mean, we want to play fast. We want to keep it as simple as possible and get the puck and play in their end as much as we can. So, our system is definitely set up for speed and playing quick and all that, and then just getting the offensive zone and make some plays. So, I think it's been a pretty smooth transition. Just keep trying to keep learning and keep getting better.
All right. First, any reaction to his comments there about the system, what's different about it, the time it takes, the offensive speed, etc.? All self-explanatory, or anything that you really stood out to you?
No, I think it was all just really good insight and perspective from him. And I like what you said about how he is the guy with the most talent defensively that has the most to learn. And I think it just kind of points to our earlier point about how it's almost harder when it's these like seasoned veteran guys trying to learn a new system. So I think, and we've been so focused on the offense, like when Steven Stamkos going to finally score a goal, and it's like, well, the defense has a lot to learn too, and as does the goaltending. And so I need everyone to freaking chill out about Scott Wedgwood too. That's another hill that I will die on, just because, like you said, it changes the system changes everything, the offense, the defense, and then how the goalie reads plays. So
when I was talking to Hal yesterday around the same time, like right before I kind of went and talked to Brady about that, he's working on this too, actually. For those of you who are watching the broadcast on TV, like he's working on trying to figure out ways to get clips of the system onto his broadcast to better explain during intermission and stuff. And it's just it's very subtle, is what he said first to me. It's like the whole thing is extremely subtle. It's about how a guy leans one direction versus the other. And one of the things that sort of made sense to me, at least again, as a non-scheme X's and O's expert on hockey at all, I'm not an expert on this in any way, shape, or form, was one of the things was when there's a puck battle in your own zone, the way centers are trained, and then everyone off of that center's behavior, right? The way the defenseman is battling, the way the goalie prepares for the puck to sort of remove itself from that situation, squirt out somewhere. It all changes because of how the Brunette wants his center to back up that situation. Generally speaking, you're taught to stand fairly still, to back up your defenseman no matter what. You can go left, you can go right, you can go down the boards, you can go up the boards. You want to defend, you want to sort of be his backup. And the goalie knows that no matter which direction the puck goes, the center is going to be the backstop to that first and foremost before him. And it probably means he's looking to the point, he's looking to the slot, he's keeping his peripheral vision open for the second pass, because he knows the center has the first pass backed up or defensively, right? And what Brunette wants his centers to do is sort of circle down in behind it, so that when they complete the circle behind the puck scrum, they are moving up the boards and out of the zone already with momentum and speed. They want the puck to be cleared up the zone, up the boards with speed when they're doing those battles. The offense, the forechecker knows that that's what they want to do and want to push the puck down the boards, in which case the center has a different read, the defenseman has a different read, and the goaltender now has a different read, because now shots and chances are coming at the goalie, if they don't win the puck battle, from a different angle, a different place on the ice than they are accustomed to. And so it's a small thing. I'm working on like the weak side winger blowing through the zone as fast as possible. Like I'm still working on other stuff, trying to understand more of it. But that one struck me because it's easy to understand. You are taught to stand behind your defenseman to back him up one way or the other, any way that puck could come out. If you are not standing balanced with the ability to go either direction, and you're going up the ice and the puck goes down it, well, you're going to have a high danger chance, or the other team's going to have offensive zone time. So I think that makes sense. I hope it does to all of you. It kind of made sense to me that like, oh, it's just different. It creates the puck going to different places and different people. And therefore that creates different opportunities and chances and angles and everything else. So that makes sense to me, I guess. No comment.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm thinking about how I want to articulate what I'm going to say. I think it does make sense. And I think that, I mean, this is oversimplifying it, but you don't know what you don't know. And if you've never played a style or system like this before, you don't know what opportunities are going to be there for you, if that makes sense, which is basically what you're saying.
That makes sense. Like Wedgwood, like I think Saros has a little bit of insight because of last year. Whereas Wedgwood, for example, is like on against Dallas, like if that puck was coming at him from a place he's never really prepared for that puck to come at him before, even though mentally he might have prepared in practice or in training camp, until you see it and like Jamie Benn is actually coming at you, like you're not
game speed is totally different. Clean slate. Like you can be mentally prepared for anything, like, and it's just not, it's different when it happens to you at game speed. And that's the best teacher, as painful as it might be in the moment, or as, difficult as it might be when, you're struggling through it. I think that it's still going to be the best teacher in the long run.
Yes, I agree. And I thought Shea kind of alluded to like, no, you're just having to learn angles and learn discipline and sort of learn this thing. And I thought Tuesday night you saw a lot of undisciplined defensive hockey where they were trying to get out of the zone too quickly. And either they turned it over in their own zone, turned it over in the neutral zone. The pass wasn't exactly right, or the breakout wasn't exactly right because they're still learning how to get. If you are going to go 100 miles an hour, it means that a tiny bit of wrong or adjustment could throw the whole thing off. It's a precision system. And so you've got to be precise. And if the puck is going to go up the boards all the time and you're always leaning outside of the offensive zone to go fast, you are going to create chances if you make a mistake. And you're going to make more mistakes in the first few games with new players than you will hopefully after 10 or 12 or 15 games. It can't be 40 games. That's ultimately the key here. It cannot take 30 more games or 35 games to get it right this year. They can't afford that and compete for a 2 or a 3 seed or even the division. If you want to compete for the division or be a top flight team in the Western Conference, it has to click much quicker, and it has to click in like 10 to 15 games. I don't need it to click faster than that. 10 games is fine. I don't, if they're 6-5-1 after 12, like I'm okay with that. I don't think that's a problem.
Well, that's what's funny is again seeing the people just losing their minds on Twitter about like, well, if they keep this up, then they're going to end up with only 6 points at the end of October. And I'm like, not the worst thing. Like, I mean, that's not what you want, but like, well, six wins. I mean, 6 wins. Sorry, 6 wins, but it's just like, I mean, that's not the worst thing right now. Like they're still figuring it out. If they, again, you gotta give it time. And I say this as an incredibly impatient person. Everyone else's impatience is bothering me. So I feel like I now need to go apologize to anyone who knows me. Cause I'm like, this shit's annoying. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
But they do need to collect a few wins. They got Edmonton Thursday. They got Detroit Saturday. They'll be done with Detroit on Saturday for the entire season, which is kind of unusual, but interesting there. And then Boston on Tuesday. That's a lot of pace and a lot of firepower. I also think it's a little unusual. I think Detroit and Seattle both play a fast pace. They're comfortable in that type of game, which is also maybe a negative to matching up with Nashville. Mm-hmm. Dallas does not. Mm-hmm. So they're just uber balanced and uber talented. Yeah. But Edmonton, Detroit, and Boston, I think you need probably 2 wins to sort of quiet the natives a bit, even if the natives are a little out of control on Twitter, and Twitter's not the right place for people to exist. So Shotgun Willie's Barbecue in East Nashville and up there in Madison, right there on Briley Parkway. It is fantastic. Best brisket in the city. Got to cook it by a Texan, and the Texans cooking it up there. Open at 11 a.m. Wednesday through Sunday. One of those joints, when it's gone, y'all. I don't like barbecue joints that just keep a bunch of meat in the back for the dinner crowd. Like, I like barbecue joints that cook it early. They serve it at 11 a.m. until it's gone. So get there early, get you some food. It's fantastic. And, of course, Sinkers Beverages, our great and amazing, awesome sponsor. 3-time liquor store of the year, as voted on by you, the Nashvillians. Almost 40 years of service in East Nashville, as well as Bluegrass Beverages in Hendersonville also. Hopefully Mike is doing all right. I think he is. He'll be back next week. We've got Emma's Weekly, NHL Weekly on Lower Broad Hockey. I'm working on a scheme and a schematic story for you guys as well. We're going to have some stock up, stock down stuff for each week on the website as well. So go check that out, lowerbroadhockey.com. We do appreciate your support. We are learning, just like the Predators are, on what works in that system, what you guys like, what you guys don't like, how you like it. We're making adjustments as well, just maybe not as many as Andrew Brunette. So enjoy the 3 games. Enjoy the hockey this weekend. Emma, where can people find you?
Can find me in the sewers at Emma_Lingan. You can find my work at Lower Broad Hockey and the Hockey News.
You are way deeper into the sewers than I am, and that's abnormal for me. Normally, I'm the one who's in the sewers. Thank you guys for listening and hanging out. Please share the product, rate and review, and subscribe on podcast apps everywhere. Give us a 5-star review. That'd be great. Thumbs up, notifications turned on the YouTube page as well. Lots of other great stuff for you Nashville sports fans over there. So we do appreciate it. Give Emma a follow at Emma_Lingan, at MG Sports_ for Mike. Adam's got some stuff coming for you guys as well over at Lower Broad, and you get to me at Braden Gall. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you guys next time.